What's up, YouTube? This is Doug Jenkins. Haven't been on a video in a while, but I just wanted to give you some quick knowledge. A lot of questions come up, and I apologize I haven't been doing as many videos. We're gonna answer questions. I get a lot of questions on interfaces. In computers, should I buy a Mac or a PC? At this point in my life, I'm going to tell you right now, I have a Mac and I have a PC. The Mac is an absolute stable operating system. The PC, depending on what you buy, it really boils down to this, people. If you're talking about recording audio, I get something in my eyeball that hurts. It all boils down to what you're hooking up to your computer, not what the computer is capable of. You need a computer with fast hard drives, a lot of RAM, a killer processor. And that's pretty much the three main components. A motherboard that can, handle that. Mac has been known because they make their computers like this out of the box, but they also charge for it. Their operating system is a little bit different, a little more simplified, I believe, as far as finding files and things like that. I have a MacBook with 8 gigs of RAM. It has an i7 processor in it, and it has a solid-state drive in it, which is amazing. I have a PC that has 12 gigs of RAM in it, has like 3 hard drives in it, has a 6-core processor in it, and the PC runs faster than the Mac because it's got more processors, and it's got more RAM. Now, the Symphony I/O, if I took this thing out of here and got rid of it and said, we're gonna downsize our studio, and I took this out of here, I just pretty much obsoleted everything in my recording studio to sound good. That's how serious I'm talking when you talk about an audio interface. So to answer your guys' question out there, what do I need to start a home recording studio or a professional studio? You need professional converters. Why do we need professional converters? Because it's not the day and age of analog anymore. You need something that takes analog to digital. An interface, that's what it does. It takes analog signals, like your voice going through a microphone, or a keyboard, or whatever, or a guitar going through a microphone, and it converts it into digital information so it shows up in your digital audio workstation. The better that piece of equipment does that job, the better your integrity of your sound quality is. So what do I mean by that? If you buy a Symphony I/O tomorrow, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to make solid gold albums or platinum hit records. It does mean that you're going to have a very good shot of doing that if you know how to EQ and understand music. I grew up using interfaces that weren't the best. And I remember sending my mix, probably about 10 years now. No, probably about 7 years, sorry. To a gentleman that had a studio, a multi-million-dollar studio. And I said, could you just please take a listen to what I do and see if I'm in the right ballpark? And he emailed me back. I was using a 002. And he emailed me back and he said, hey, this is a really solid blend, and I'm really impressed in this. He said, what did you use, if you don't mind me asking? And I told him I used a 002. And he hit me back and he said, that's probably the best sounding mix I've ever heard on a 002. So don't ever let your God-given gifts limit what you're doing because you don't have the equipment right now. You see what I'm saying? But when I started to realize that this made me better at my job, it challenged me, because what I started finding out is when I EQ'd something, it EQ'd it. When on the 002, it was like I was EQing to the converter, so I was like, maybe cutting stuff a little bit too much. When I used the Symphony or the Rosetta, I started to realize that the image became, using the same principles I learned through the school and all the years I've been doing this, that now I can hear them better and the results are better. So yeah, your converters create for better results. If you listen to any major album, they use stuff like this. One of the things I do is now I do professional recordings. I do a lot of mastering for professionals, and I use the Massive Passive, the MU, and the Bax as my main go-to stuff, and then these converters. And a lot of guys are like, they just like the sound of them. I mean, they have this three-dimensional feel to them. So when you get your music back, they might have recorded with some high-end converters, But then I bring it through here, and I actually improve that, conversion by using the clock in here and whatnot. And then do subtle changes with the EQ and the dynamics of a song. And a lot of times in professional recordings, I'm not really changing much, but just making it more apparent between the speakers. So to answer that question, you want to start a professional recording studio or a mixing studio or a mastering studio, get some professional converters and some professional speakers. That answers that question. The biggest deception, why do I get my music mixed? Why would I do that when I can mix it at home? I'm going to tell you right now, dude. If you could take up on my offer of $75 for a master, not a mix, we'll get into that. Mastering a song for $75, considering there's like $10,000 worth of just processors, I think it's a pretty good bargain. A lot of guys are just not thinking right. You're going to go out and buy T-Rex with a Fast Track Pro and master your own album to save how much money? For like $750, you can get a whole entire album done through me with some of the nicest equipment. You can take your music to a whole different level. Number two, I'm not an idiot. There's people out there that will hit me up, and I know for a fact they're not going to pay me a dime. Hey man, I'm really interested in your mastering service. And then you do a master for them, and you send them a snippet, and they're like, oh, I have money tomorrow to buy that. I really like that song. I'm not your guinea pig, okay? So don't think that you need to test the water. You know, what goes around comes around. If you believe in karma, if you believe in God. God, in my personal walk, if you decide to rip people off, and since you rip yourself off, you know, if you think you're pulling over a quick one on somebody, you're usually pulling a quick one over on yourself. You know, I got to where I'm at now by understanding this God-given principle that when you give much, you receive much, and you don't expect it. You know, if you give a lot of time to your profession, you'll receive from your profession, but you got to take the opportunities. This Manley was my first piece of high-end equipment. Came into a Guitar Center where it shouldn't even have been. The Manley shouldn't even have been there. I mean, like, it wasn't a professional Guitar Center. Dudes are looking at it like, what is it? Didn't even know how to use it. I said, they're like, well, why is it here? And I'm like, it's here for me. It's got to be here for me. Man of faith here, you know. And I remember at that time, it was the most challenging thing. I was going through a lot of stuff, not keeping up with my house bills and stuff, and running a studio that was just garbage. I mean, a lot of equipment, but nothing was getting done. And I talked to the guy that was working with me at that studio. I said, look, dude, I'm going to give you an opportunity. You need a house, you can buy my house, and I'll put the studio with the house. We'll just make an addendum. That gentleman bought it. I took all the money from that one purchase. A whole studio of stuff. And that Manley showed up. So that's how much of an investment I had to make. I had to sell a whole studio to get that one piece of equipment. So when somebody talks to me about, you know, oh man, I hear these excuses. And the one thing that I could say to anybody out there, I'm not trying to talk you into spending money. I'm trying to tell you that if you really believe in your music, let a professional work on it. Because it's dumb not to. You're actually shooting yourself in the foot every single time you think you're doing something that yourself a favor by saving money. You just keep blowing money on stupid stuff instead of buying one great thing, you know? That's my advice to anybody.